My girlfriend announced no contact for a month and blocked me. Then I saw our tickets on her story. I found out my girlfriend of 3 years was cheating on me through a Coldplay concert ticket. Not the most dignified way to have your world collapse, but there it was. A screenshot of 2 tickets to the show we were supposed to attend together, posted on her Instagram story with the caption, "Can't wait," yellow heart, and tagged with someone else's username. Someone named Damien Voss 47. The same girlfriend who, exactly 6 days earlier, had told me she needed space to work on herself and blocked me on everything. I'm 34 years old. I have a master's degree in engineering, a decent job, a mortgage, and I thought I had a future. Instead, I was sitting in my kitchen at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday, staring at my phone through my coworker's Instagram account because I needed to check if she'd unblocked me yet. She hadn't unblocked me, but her story was public, and there they were, our tickets. The ones I'd bought as a surprise for her birthday, the concert that was supposed to be in 3 weeks. Let me back up because this didn't come out of nowhere, even though it felt like it did. Vivienne and I met at a friend's wedding in Denver. She was the maid of honor, I was a groomsman, and we spent the entire reception talking about our mutual obsession with true crime podcasts and our shared experience of having our lives completely derailed by the pandemic. She was funny, sharp, and had this way of making eye contact that made you feel like you were the only person in the room. By the end of the night, we'd exchanged numbers. By the end of the month, we were basically inseparable. The first 2 years were good, really good. We moved in together after year 1, maybe too fast, but we were both in our 30s and tired of playing games. She was a graphic designer who worked from home, and I commuted to an office about 30 minutes away. We fell into an easy rhythm. She'd make coffee in the morning while I showered. I'd cook dinner while she finished up client calls. We'd watch Netflix and argue about whether the husband did it. He always did it, by the way. Year 3 is when things started shifting in ways I couldn't quite name, small things at first. She became more private with her phone, angling it away when she texted. She started going to more networking events in the evenings. She'd come home smelling like cigarette smoke even though she didn't smoke, claiming someone at the event was basically chain-smoking beside her. I noticed but didn't push. I trusted her. More accurately, I trusted the relationship we'd built, and I didn't want to be that guy who turned into a paranoid boyfriend. I told myself I was being secure and mature by not making it into a thing. Then came the promotion that changed everything. About 4 months ago, Vivienne landed a huge contract with a tech startup, the kind that could set her up as the go-to designer in her niche. She was thrilled, and so was I. I took her out for a celebration dinner at this Italian place she loved downtown. We drank too much wine and made plans about maybe buying a house, maybe getting a dog, maybe finally booking that trip to Portugal we'd been talking about forever. The future felt bright and certain. I remember thinking that night that I was going to marry this woman, that she was it for me. But the promotion also meant more work, or so she told me. Later nights, weekend calls, she'd be on her laptop at midnight frantic about deadlines. I gave her space. I picked up the slack around the apartment, groceries, laundry, cooking. I didn't complain when she was too tired for our usual Saturday morning farmers market trips or when she canceled our weekly date nights 3 times in a row. "I'm just drowning right now," she said one night when I asked if she wanted to talk about it. "Once this project wraps, things will go back to normal, I promise." I believed her because I wanted to believe her. The concert tickets were supposed to be a light at the end of the tunnel. Coldplay was her favorite band. She'd seen them twice before and cried both times during The Scientist. When I saw they were coming to town, I didn't hesitate despite the price. I spent more than I should have on good seats. Section 114, row F. I was going to surprise her the weekend before the show, make her favorite dinner, pour champagne, hand her the printed tickets in an envelope. I'd even planned to write a little note about how we'd get through this busy season together. How proud I was of her success and everything she'd accomplished. But I never got the chance to give her those tickets. 3 Sundays ago, Vivienne came into the living room where I was watching football and sat down with this expression I'd never seen before. Serious, almost businesslike, clinical even. "We need to talk," she said, and my stomach immediately dropped to the floor. Nothing good has ever followed those 4 words in the history of relationships. I muted the TV and turned to face her, trying to read her expression, searching for some clue about what was coming. My mind raced through possibilities. Was she sick? Was someone in her family hurt? Was she pregnant? I've been doing a lot of thinking, she continued, not quite meeting my eyes as she spoke. And I think I need some space, like actual space, a month of no contact. I stared at her, convinced I'd misheard. What? I asked, my voice coming out strangled. I just feel like I've lost myself in this relationship, she said, and her voice had this rehearsed quality, like she'd practiced this speech in the mirror. I don't know who I am outside of being your girlfriend anymore. I need time to figure that out. The words sounded like something from a self-help book, like lines from a script about finding yourself and personal growth and all that therapeutic language people use. Vivienne, if you're feeling overwhelmed, we can work on that together, I said, trying to keep my voice calm and reasonable. We can go to couples therapy, or I can give you more space here, or we can. No, she cut me off sharply. That's the thing, I need to do this alone. No therapy, no check-ins, no contact at all. I need complete space to think clearly about what I want. For a month, I felt panic rising in my chest like water filling my lungs. You want to just not talk for an entire month, not see each other, nothing. I think it's what I need, she said, already standing up like the conversation was over. I'm going to stay at Sloane's place. I already packed a bag this morning before you woke up. It happened so fast after that. 20 minutes later, she was gone. She'd taken her toiletries, her laptop, a suitcase of clothes, her chargers and headphones. She'd also, I discovered quickly, blocked me on everything. Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, even Venmo. When I tried to call, I got sent straight to voicemail with that automated message that doesn't even include the person's name. It was like she'd erased me from her digital life in one efficient sweep, like I'd never existed to her at all, like 3 years meant absolutely nothing. I spent that first week in a complete daze, wandering through the apartment like a ghost. I called out of work for 2 days because I couldn't focus on anything. I barely ate, surviving on coffee and whatever was easiest to grab from the fridge. My best friend Theo came over with beer and told me this was probably just a freakout, that she'd come to her senses in a few days. Everyone panics sometimes, he said, trying to be comforting. Give her a week and she'll realize how stupid this is. My sister Margaret called and had a different take entirely. She said it sounded like Vivienne was being emotionally manipulative, that no one who actually wants to work on themselves cuts off their partner without explanation. Healthy people don't blow up relationships like this, Margaret said over the phone, her voice sharp with protective anger. They communicate. They work through things together. This whole I need space to find myself thing is bullshit. It's what people say when they want to do something shady without technically being a cheater. I didn't want to believe her at the time. Part of me was angry at Vivienne for doing this so abruptly and coldly. Part of me was scared that this was really the end, and she'd never come back. Part of me kept wondering what I'd done wrong, replaying every conversation and argument from the past few months, looking for the exact moment where I'd failed her. By week 2, I was cycling through the stages of grief like someone had put them on shuffle. I'd wake up angry, ready to march over to Sloane's apartment and demand answers. I'd spend the afternoon depressed, lying on the couch staring at the ceiling. I'd go to bed bargaining with the universe that if she just came back, I'd be better. I'd listen more. I'd be more attentive. I'd be less complacent. I'd fix whatever I'd broken without even realizing I'd broken it. I'd become the perfect boyfriend she apparently needed me to be. Anything to make this nightmare end and go back to how things were before. I respected her boundary, though, even as it killed me. I didn't try to contact her through friends or mutual acquaintances. I didn't show up at Sloane's apartment or her favorite coffee shop. I gave her the space she asked for, even though it felt like slow torture every single day. I told myself I was being mature and respectful, that if she needed this time, I'd give it to her, that maybe she really was struggling with something and this month would help her figure it out. That we'd come back together stronger and more committed than before, that this was just a rough patch every couple goes through. And then came last Tuesday, the day everything changed again. I was at work, sitting through an excruciatingly boring meeting about Q4 projections and budget allocations. My mind was somewhere else entirely, barely paying attention to the PowerPoint presentation. Then I got a text from my coworker Henrik. Henrik and I weren't super close, but we'd grab lunch sometimes and talk about sports and movies. We followed each other on social media in that casual way coworkers do. The text said, "Hey man, is everything okay with you and Vivienne?" My heart started pounding immediately. Something in the phrasing made my stomach clench. I texted back quickly, "Why? What's going on?" Three dots appeared on my screen, then disappeared, then appeared again like he was debating how to phrase it. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, "Can I call you? This is weird to text about." I excused myself from the meeting, mumbling something about a family emergency, and walked outside into the parking lot. My hands were shaking as I dialed Henrik back. He picked up on the first ring. "Dude, I don't know if I should be telling you this," he started, his voice uncomfortable and hesitant. "But Vivienne just posted a story and I don't know, it seemed really weird given everything." "What kind of story?" I asked, though part of me already knew it was going to be bad. "Concert tickets to Coldplay. She tagged some guy named Damien in it with a bunch of heart emojis." The world tilted sideways beneath my feet. The parking lot seemed to spin. "What?" I said stupidly, unable to form a more coherent response. "Yeah, man, I wouldn't have thought anything of it except, aren't you guys supposed to be on a break or something, taking space? And I could have sworn you mentioned buying Coldplay tickets a while back, like months ago. You were excited about surprising her with them for her birthday. I remember because my girlfriend loves Coldplay too, and I was thinking about doing the same thing. So when I saw Vivienne post those tickets, it just felt off." I thanked Henrik and hung up, barely registering what else he said. My hands were shaking so badly I could hardly hold my phone. I didn't have Instagram anymore. I deleted it during week 1 of the break because seeing the app icon on my phone was too painful. Every time I'd see it, I'd think about checking her profile, and the temptation was driving me crazy. But I still had my login information saved in my Notes app. I sat there in my car for a moment, my thumb hovering over the screen. Did I really want to know? Was ignorance better than confirmation? But the question was pointless. Of course I needed to know. I downloaded Instagram again and logged into my account, my heart racing so hard I thought I might pass out right there in the parking lot. Immediately, I saw that Vivienne still had me blocked. Her profile didn't even show up when I searched for it. Of course she did. Of course she'd kept me blocked while posting about concert tickets. I sat there for a moment, staring at the screen, and then I did something I'm not particularly proud of. I logged out and created a burner account with a random username. No profile picture, no followers, no following, no posts. Just a ghost account that existed solely to view public stories and profiles without being detected. I found her profile easily enough. My heart was racing so hard I could hear my pulse in my ears. I clicked on her story with trembling fingers. There they were, exactly as Henrik had described. 2 tickets to Coldplay. Section 114, row F, the exact seats I'd purchased. My tickets. The ones I'd bought with my credit card with my money for her birthday. The screenshot even showed part of the confirmation email. And tagged in the corner of the image, surrounded by yellow heart emojis, at Damien Voss 47. The caption read, "Can't wait. Yellow heart," like this was just a normal, innocent concert she was excited about. Like those tickets hadn't been bought by her boyfriend. I clicked on Damien's profile with a sense of dread, and it opened immediately because of course it was public. Damien Voss was 31 according to his bio, worked in brand strategy at some startup I'd never heard of. His Instagram had that carefully curated aesthetic that screamed, "I think I'm more interesting than I am." Photos of him at trendy restaurants holding craft cocktails. Pictures at rooftop bars with the city skyline behind him. A shot of him posing with a vintage motorcycle that probably belonged to a friend. Every photo had that calculated, casual vibe, like he was trying too hard to look like he wasn't trying at all. The kind of guy who definitely talked about his personal brand. I scrolled through his photos with increasing nausea, looking for any other evidence. And there, buried in his recent photos from 2 weeks ago, was a picture that made my blood run cold. It was Vivienne, sitting across from him at what looked like an upscale coffee shop, laughing at something off camera. Her head was thrown back in that genuine laugh I knew so well. The caption read, "Strategy sessions with the best in the biz, hot sparkles," followed by a bunch of professional hashtags. Her face was partially obscured by her hair, but I'd recognize that burgundy jacket anywhere. I'd bought it for her last Christmas. She'd worn it constantly, said it was her favorite gift anyone had ever given her. I went back through more of his photos, my detective work now in full swing. There were more instances of Vivienne appearing in his feed, though never prominently. Not many, but enough to paint a clear picture. A group shot from what looked like a networking event 4 months ago, Vivienne in the background, standing close to him, her hand on his arm. A blurry photo from a bar 3 months back, several people in the frame, but Vivienne's distinctive laugh captured mid-moment. A shot from a rooftop party where she was barely visible but definitely there. This wasn't new. This wasn't some sudden thing. This had been happening for months, unfolding right under my nose while I was being the supportive boyfriend. If you're invested in what happens next, please hit that like button and subscribe. It means the world to me and helps me share more stories like this. Now, back to what happened. I sat in my car in that parking lot for at least 20 minutes, trying to process what I just discovered through the fog of shock. The month of space wasn't about self-discovery or personal growth or any of that therapeutic language she'd used. It was about clearing the deck so she could be with this guy without the inconvenience of having a boyfriend in the picture asking questions. The networking events where she'd come home smelling like smoke. The late nights she'd blamed on client deadlines. The phone privacy, the distance, the gradual pulling away, it all made perfect sense now. I'd been so stupid, so trusting, so pathetically, willfully blind to what was happening right in front of me. I drove home in a complete fog, barely paying attention to traffic lights or stop signs. When I got there, I did something else I'm not proud of but felt completely necessary. I started going through the apartment looking for evidence I might have missed. I checked the drawers where she kept her mail and old receipts. I went through the closet where she stored papers and documents. I wasn't even entirely sure what I was looking for, a smoking gun confession. A diary entry about her affair with detailed descriptions. A love letter from Damien professing his feelings. I just needed something concrete beyond Instagram photos. Something undeniable that would confirm I wasn't losing my mind or misinterpreting an innocent friendship. What I found was simpler and somehow infinitely worse than anything I'd imagined. In the pocket of a jacket she'd left hanging in our shared closet, I found a receipt from a hotel. The Ashford Grand, dated from exactly 6 weeks ago on a Tuesday night. The same night she told me she was staying late at a client dinner and wouldn't be home until after midnight. She texted me around 10 p.m. saying the dinner was running long and she'd probably just crash at Sloan's to avoid driving home tired. Room service for 2 people. A bottle of champagne, chocolate-covered strawberries. The total was over $300, the kind of night someone plans, not something that just happens spontaneously. I sat on our bedroom floor holding that receipt, and something inside me broke in a way I'd never experienced. Not the loud, dramatic kind of breaking you see in movies where someone throws things and screams. The quiet kind. The kind where you realize the person you loved never really existed at all. You loved a version of them that they presented to you. A story they told. A character they played convincingly for 3 years. The real person was someone else entirely. Someone capable of lying to your face for months while sleeping with someone else and planning hotel stays. Someone who could ask for space while already having moved on completely. Someone unrecognizable from the woman I thought I knew. I called Theo immediately, barely able to speak through the tightness in my chest. He came over within an hour, letting himself in with the spare key I'd given him years ago. He took one look at my face and the receipt in my hand and pulled me into a hug. I'm not someone who cries easily. I hadn't cried since my dad died 5 years ago from a sudden heart attack, but I broke down completely. All the stress and confusion and self-blame from the past 2 weeks came pouring out. All the wondering what I'd done wrong and how I could fix things. All of it mixed with this new, sharp betrayal that felt like a physical wound in my chest that I couldn't stop touching. "What do I do?" I asked him when I could finally speak again, my voice hoarse from crying. "How do I handle this?" "You confront her," he said simply, his jaw set in that determined way he got when he was angry on someone else's behalf. "You get your answers, you get your closure, you don't let her get away with this clean. She blocked me on everything, Theo. How am I supposed to confront someone who won't even let me contact her?" "Then you show up at Sloan's apartment. Or you wait until the concert and confront both of them there in public. You make a scene if you have to. You don't let her rewrite history and make you the bad guy. You don't let her control the narrative." I knew he was right, but I also knew I needed to be strategic about this. I couldn't just show up emotional and angry without a plan. I spent that night and the entire next day gathering more evidence like I was building a legal case. Screenshots of the Instagram stories before they disappeared after 24 hours. Photos of every single one of Damien's posts that featured Vivienne in any capacity, even the ones where she was barely visible. The hotel receipt, which I photographed from multiple angles. I even called the Ashford Grand, pretended I was confirming a reservation for my anniversary, and got them to verify that a room had been booked under Vivienne's name that night. The woman on the phone was extremely helpful and even mentioned it had been a sweet upgrade. Then I did something that surprised even myself, something I hadn't planned but felt suddenly necessary. I called Sloane. Sloane and I had always gotten along well over the years. She was Vivienne's best friend from college, but we'd hung out plenty of times in group settings, game nights at our apartment, dinners at new restaurants we wanted to try, a camping trip last summer where we'd all gotten drunk around the fire and told embarrassing stories. I'd considered her a friend too, not just my girlfriend's friend. When she answered the phone, she sounded immediately cautious in a way that told me she knew exactly why I was calling. "Garrett," she said carefully. "Hi, how are you?" "Is she there right now?" I asked, not bothering with small talk or pleasantries, a pause that lasted just a beat too long. "She's in the shower. Is everything okay? Sloane, I need you to be honest with me about something. Does Vivienne have someone else?" The silence that followed was deafening and told me absolutely everything I needed to know. It stretched out for several seconds. I could hear her breathing on the other end of the line, could practically hear her mind working through what to say. How much to admit, where her loyalty should lie in this moment. "Sloane," I said again, my voice harder now, "please just tell me the truth. I deserve at least that after 3 years." "I can't," she started, then stopped herself. "I can't get in the middle of this, Garrett. This is between you and Vivienne." "You're already in the middle of it," I said, trying to keep my voice level and reasonable despite the anger building. "She's literally staying at your place right now. You've been covering for her, housing her, probably listening to her justify all of this. You're as in the middle of it as someone can possibly be. So just tell me the truth. Does she have someone else? Is there a guy named Damien?" Another long pause, and then, so quietly I almost couldn't hear her. "I told her she was making a mistake. I told her multiple times she needed to just break up with you properly instead of doing this space thing. But she said she needed time to figure out what she wanted first," Sloane continued, her words coming faster now like a confession she'd been holding in. "She said she wasn't sure if what she had with him was real or just exciting because it was new. She said she needed space from you to think clearly without feeling guilty. She said she'd tell you everything after the month was over and she'd made a decision. She wanted time to audition her new boyfriend," I said flatly, my voice completely devoid of emotion now. "She wanted a month to see if he was worth leaving me for, like I'm some backup option she's keeping on hold while she test drives the new model." "That's not fair," Sloane said, but her voice was weak and unconvincing. "It's more complicated than that. She really does care about you." "No, it's really not complicated at all," I said, feeling that strange clarity that comes when you're so angry you become calm. "She's cheating on me. She asked for space so she could do it guilt-free without technically being a cheater while we're on a break. And now she's taking the tickets I bought with my money for her birthday to a concert with her new guy. She's literally using my gift to go on a date with the person she's leaving me for. There's absolutely nothing complicated about that. That's just betrayal, pure and simple." "She does care about you, Garrett," Sloane insisted, and I could hear the desperation in her voice to make this somehow better. "She's just confused about what she wants. She's going through something. The pressure from work, figuring out her life, turning 32 next month." "Don't," I cut her off sharply. "Don't do that. Don't tell me she cares about me while she's literally staying at your apartment to avoid dealing with the relationship she blew up. Don't tell me she's confused when she's been sleeping with this guy for months and planning hotel stays. Don't insult my intelligence by pretending this is some quarter-life crisis. She made choices, clear, conscious, deliberate choices, and now she has to face the consequences of those choices. Just tell her I know everything," I continued before Sloane could respond. "Tell her I know about Damien. I know about the networking events. I know about the hotel stay 6 weeks ago at the Ashford Grand. I know about the concert tickets. I know she's been planning this for months while I was home being the supportive boyfriend. Tell her if she has any shred of decency or respect left for me, she'll meet me somewhere public tomorrow to talk like adults. To end this properly instead of hiding behind blocks and space and therapeutic language about finding herself. Tell her she owes me at least that much after 3 years. Just tell her." I hung up before Sloane could respond or try to defend Vivienne any further. That night was legitimately one of the longest nights of my entire life. I couldn't sleep despite being exhausted. I kept checking my burner Instagram account to see if Vivienne would post anything else, any other clue about her new life. Kept checking my phone to see if she'd unblock me and reach out. Kept checking my email for any message. Nothing but silence. Radio silence from every possible channel of communication. Part of me wondered if Sloane had even told her about our conversation. Part of me wondered if Vivienne would just ignore the whole thing and hope I'd go away quietly. Part of me was preparing for her to just disappear from my life completely without ever giving me any real explanation or closure. But the next morning, I woke up to an email in my inbox. It was from Vivienne's personal Gmail account, the one she used for important stuff like job applications and bills because she didn't trust social media companies with her real information. The subject line was simply, "I'm sorry," just those two words. I stared at my phone screen for a full minute before I could bring myself to open it. My hands were shaking, my heart was pounding. I felt like I might throw up. The email itself was 3 paragraphs long, single-spaced, clearly written carefully. She admitted to seeing Damien. She said it had started as just a connection at a networking event 3 months ago, that they'd kept it strictly professional at first. She wrote that feelings had developed gradually over time and she hadn't known how to handle it. She said she hadn't meant for it to happen, that she'd been planning to break up with me properly, but that she panicked and asked for space instead. She said she knew taking the concert tickets was wrong, that she'd been planning to buy them from me properly, that she just wasn't thinking clearly, that everything had happened so fast and gotten so complicated. "I never meant to hurt you," the email ended in what felt like the most inadequate statement possible. "You deserve so much better than how I've handled this entire situation. I understand completely if you never want to speak to me again. I'm sorry, Garrett. I'm so sorry for everything." I read the email 3 times, each time feeling different emotions. The first time I felt vindicated that I'd been right. The second time I felt angry at how insufficient her apology was. The third time I just felt tired and done with all of it. Then I wrote back and I didn't hold anything back. "You don't get to apologize your way out of this," I typed, my fingers moving fast across the keyboard. "You don't get to reframe this as some complicated situation where feelings just happened organically beyond your control. You made choices, active, conscious choices. You chose to start something with him while we were still together and committed. You chose to lie to me for months while I supported you and your career. You chose to ask for space instead of being honest. You chose to take tickets I bought for you." I continued typing, everything I'd wanted to say pouring out. "These weren't accidents or things that just happened to you. They were decisions you made, and now you have to live with them and their consequences. I want my tickets back or $400 for them since you're using my gift for your new boyfriend. You have until Friday to send the money. After that, I'm selling every single thing you left here and keeping whatever I get for it. The books, the art, the kitchen stuff, all of it. We're done, Vivienne, completely done. I hope Damien was worth throwing away 3 years and someone who actually loved you. I hope he's worth it when the excitement wears off and you realize you destroyed something real for something temporary. Good luck with everything." I sent it before I could second-guess myself or soften the language, before I could delete it and write something more measured and mature. Her response came back within an hour, which meant she'd been sitting there waiting for my reply. "I'll Venmo you for the tickets today, the full amount plus extra for your trouble. I'll come get my remaining things this weekend when you're not home so we don't have to see each other. Sloane will be with me as a witness. I'll leave my key on the kitchen counter. I'm sorry again for everything, Garrett. You didn't deserve any of this." And that was it. 3 years of relationship, of shared mornings and inside jokes and future plans ended through email exchanges, reduced to transaction details and logistics about picking up belongings. The money showed up in my Venmo account that afternoon, $500 instead of the $400 I'd asked for. The note just said for the tickets and everything else. Like she was paying some kind of guilt tax, like an extra $100 could somehow make up for months of lies and betrayal. I stared at the notification for a long time, feeling absolutely nothing. Not angry anymore, not sad, just completely hollowed out, empty. Like someone had scooped out everything inside me and left just a shell walking around pretending to be a person. I'd spent 2 weeks torturing myself, lying awake at night wondering what I'd done wrong, how I could fix things, what I could change about myself to make her want to stay. And it turned out there was nothing to fix because I hadn't broken anything. She'd made her choice long before she asked for space. The relationship had been over for months, probably since the moment she'd met Damien at that networking event. I just hadn't known it yet. I'd been living in a relationship that had already ended, going through the motions with someone who'd already mentally and emotionally checked out, playing house with someone who was planning their exit strategy. That realization was somehow worse than the cheating itself, that I'd been alone for months without even knowing it, that every "I love you" and future plan had been a lie she was telling both of us. Theo came over that night with Thai food and a six-pack of my favorite beer. We didn't talk much about Vivienne or what had happened. We just sat on the couch and watched a basketball game, and I was profoundly grateful for the silence and normalcy, for having a friend who knew when talking wouldn't help, who could just sit with me in the wreckage without trying to fix anything or offer empty platitudes. He stayed until after midnight, until I told him I was okay and he should go home to his girlfriend. I wasn't okay, but I would be eventually. Or at least I'd learn to pretend well enough that it wouldn't matter. That's what getting older was. I was learning, accumulating wounds and learning to function around them. Vivienne came for her things that Saturday afternoon while I was deliberately elsewhere. I made sure I wasn't there because I didn't trust myself to see her. I went to my sister Margot's house across town and helped her paint her daughter's bedroom a shade of purple that Emma had picked out. It was mindless, physical work that kept my hands busy and my mind occupied. When I got home that evening, the apartment was noticeably emptier in a way that felt both relieving and devastating. The art prints she'd hung in the hallway were gone, leaving lighter rectangles on the wall where they'd protected the paint. Her bookshelf in the living room was completely cleared out. The bathroom had this weird vacant look without her products cluttering the counter and shower. There was a note on the kitchen table, written in her distinctive handwriting on a piece of paper torn from a notebook. "I took what was mine, left some things we bought together. You can decide what to do with them. The coffee maker, the couch, the kitchen table, some of the dishes. I don't need them and I don't want to fight about stuff. I'm sorry again for everything, Garrett. I really did love you. I hope you believe that." I read it once, crumpled it up, and threw it in the trash. I didn't believe it. You don't do what she did to someone you actually love. Love is a verb, not just a feeling. It's choices and actions and showing up even when it's hard. It's honesty even when the truth is painful. The concert was last weekend, and I obviously didn't go despite owning the tickets in spirit. I spent the evening at a bar downtown with Theo and some other friends from work. We played pool and darts. We talked about sports and movies and everything except my failed relationship. I was determinedly not thinking about Vivienne and Damien in the seats I'd paid for, watching the band she loved, singing along to songs that probably reminded her of me. Around midnight, after several beers had made me pleasantly numb, Theo's girlfriend Isla showed me something on her phone. Someone we mutually knew had posted a video from the concert on TikTok, and Vivienne was clearly visible in the background of the crowd shot. She had her arms wrapped around Damien's waist from behind, swaying to fix you with her eyes closed and a smile on her face. The same way she used to hold me at concerts, the same dreamy expression she'd get when she was truly happy. Damien had his hands over hers, both of them moving together like they'd done this 100 times before, like they were already an established couple with their own rhythm and patterns. "You okay?" Theo asked quietly when he saw my face and the way I'd gone completely still. I handed Isla's phone back and took a long drink of my beer. "Yeah," I said, and I actually meant it this time. "I'm okay. I'm going to be okay." Because here's what I've realized over these past 3 weeks of processing and therapy and late-night conversations with friends and family. Vivienne didn't just betray me. She showed me exactly who she really was when things got complicated. She showed me that when faced with a difficult choice, she'd choose the easy lie over the hard truth every single time. She'd choose her comfort over my dignity. She'd choose someone new and shiny over someone who'd been loyal and present and building a real life with her. She'd choose the excitement of an affair over the steadiness of actual commitment. And that information, as painful as it was to learn, was actually invaluable. It was a gift wrapped in barbed wire, but a gift nonetheless. Because now I knew. Now I understood exactly what kind of person I'd been building a future with, and I could stop wasting my time. I'm not over it yet, and I'm not going to pretend I am for the sake of a neat ending. I still have moments where I replay conversations from months ago, looking for signs I missed or ignored. I still feel angry sometimes when I'm lying in bed at night and my mind wanders to them together. I still feel sad when I'm cooking dinner and realize I'm only making food for one person. I still feel embarrassed that I didn't see it coming, that I was so trusting and naive. That everyone around me probably saw the signs before I did. That I was the last person to know my own relationship was over. That I was walking around planning a future while she was already living in a different one. But I also feel something else that's been slowly growing stronger each day. Relieved. Genuinely, deeply relieved. Relieved that I found out now instead of after we'd gotten married like we'd vaguely discussed. Relieved that I found out before we'd bought a house together and tangled our finances completely. Relieved that I found out before we'd had kids and I'd be co-parenting with someone capable of this level of deception. Relieved that I found out before I'd invested even more years of my life in someone who wasn't fully invested in me, who was always going to be looking over my shoulder for something better or more exciting, who was always going to choose herself over us when it mattered. My therapist, yes, I'm seeing a therapist now, which I should have done years ago honestly, says that betrayal trauma takes significant time to heal, that it's completely normal to have trouble trusting again, to feel hypervigilant in future relationships, to question my own judgment about people. That what Vivienne did wasn't just about ending a relationship, but about violating the fundamental trust that makes intimate relationships possible. She lied to my face for months. She built an entire secret life. She let me support her career while she was betraying me. That does something to your ability to trust not just others but yourself, your own perceptions, your own instincts. But my therapist also says something else that I'm choosing to believe. She says that I'll come out of this experience stronger and more aware of what I actually need in a relationship. That this experience, as brutal and devastating as it was, will teach me to listen to my instincts instead of overriding them with trust or optimism. That I'll be able to spot red flags earlier. That I'll have clearer boundaries. That I'll know the difference between someone who says they love me and someone who actually shows up like love requires. That I'll be able to build something healthier and more authentic with someone else eventually. That this wasn't a waste of 3 years, but rather an education that cost 3 years. That reframe helps sometimes when I'm feeling particularly bitter about the time I lost. I'm choosing to believe her because the alternative, becoming cynical and closed off, doesn't appeal to me at all. I don't want to be that person who can't trust anyone because one person betrayed them. I don't want to punish future partners for Vivienne's choices. I don't want to carry this wound around forever, bleeding on everyone who gets close to me. I want to heal. I want to learn. I want to eventually be able to look back on this and see it as a chapter that taught me something important rather than a tragedy that defined my entire story. I want to believe that better things are coming, that this ending was necessary to make space for a better beginning with someone who actually deserves me. Last week, I did something that felt simultaneously terrifying and liberating. I went through my phone systematically and deleted every single photo of Vivienne and me together, every couple selfie from trips and dinners, every candid shot from lazy Sunday mornings, every screenshot of sweet text exchanges, every saved video of inside jokes. 3 years of documented memories gone. I deleted every text thread, every voice memo, every reminder of our shared life. It felt like a funeral in a way, this deliberate erasure of our history together. But it also felt necessary and cathartic, like closing a door that needed to be closed, like finally accepting that what we had was actually gone and not coming back. I'm done carrying her with me everywhere I go. I'm done wondering what went wrong or what I could have done differently to make her stay. I'm done checking her social media through burner accounts to see if she's happy. I'm done comparing myself to Damien and wondering what he had that I didn't. I'm done torturing myself with questions that have no satisfying answers. She made her choices based on who she is, not based on anything I failed to be. That's not arrogance or denial, it's just the truth I've come to accept. Some people are capable of the kind of sustained deception she pulled off. Some people can look you in the eye and lie convincingly, and I can't change or fix that. I'm going to Portugal next month, flying out on the 15th. Solo trip. The vacation we'd planned together for over a year, but just for me now. I've got 10 days booked in Lisbon and Porto. I'm going to eat good food and drink wine and see old churches and museums. I'm going to sit by the ocean without checking my phone every 5 minutes. I'm going to remember what it feels like to be just myself, not someone's boyfriend, not someone's backup plan, not half of a couple. just me. Garrett, 34 years old, starting over, learning who I am outside of that relationship and what I actually want from my life moving forward. What makes me happy independent of anyone else. What dreams I have that aren't tied to someone else's presence. And somewhere down the line, not now, but eventually when I'm actually ready, I'm going to find someone who doesn't need space to realize I'm worth keeping. Someone who doesn't hedge their bets or test the waters elsewhere while maintaining our relationship as a safety net. Someone who chooses me clearly and consistently, even when it's hard, even when someone shinier comes along, even when the initial excitement wears off and we're dealing with real life. Someone who understands that real love isn't just a feeling, but a series of choices you make every single day. Someone whose actions match their words. Someone who would never dream of doing what Vivienne did because they actually value what we're building together. Vivienne taught me what I absolutely don't want in a partner. She taught me what betrayal looks like up close. She taught me how someone can smile in your face while dismantling your relationship behind your back. She taught me that I need space to find myself is sometimes just code for I want to see if this other person is worth leaving you for. She taught me that 3 years of history doesn't mean anything to someone who's already checked out emotionally. Those are painful lessons learned the hard way, carved into me like scars. But they're also valuable lessons that I'll carry forward. Knowledge I wouldn't have otherwise. Wisdom earned through suffering, which is somehow the only kind that really sticks. Now I get to figure out what I do want instead of just knowing what I don't want. That's actually not a bad place to start rebuilding. There's something clarifying about having a foundation blown apart. You get to be intentional about what you build in its place. You get to examine each brick before you lay it down. You get to ask yourself what kind of life you actually want rather than just defaulting to what you thought you were supposed to want. You get to be selective and careful and deliberate. You get to prioritize yourself without guilt. You get to remember that you were a complete person before this relationship, and you'll be a complete person after it. I've started doing small things for myself that I'd stopped doing somewhere along the way. Going to the climbing gym 3 times a week like I used to before we moved in together. Playing guitar again, badly, just for the joy of it. Reading books that Vivienne always said were too depressing or too long. Cooking elaborate meals for just myself without feeling wasteful. Reaching out to friends I'd lost touch with because I'd been too focused on my relationship. Planning that solo trip to Portugal without having to compromise on the itinerary. These are small acts of reclamation, taking back pieces of myself I'd set aside. Small declarations that I still exist as an individual with my own interests and desires and dreams. My sister Margaret told me something last week that I keep coming back to. She said, "The right person for you won't make you feel like you're constantly auditioning for the role of their partner. They won't make you feel like you're competing for their attention and commitment. They won't keep you guessing about where you stand. The right person will make you feel chosen, clearly and consistently, without all this drama and uncertainty and betrayal. And you deserve that, Garrett. You deserve someone who's all in, not someone with one foot out the door looking for better options." She's right. I do deserve that. We all deserve that basic level of honesty and commitment and respect. So yes, I found out through a concert ticket that my girlfriend was cheating. Yes, it destroyed me for a while. Yes, I'm still processing and healing and figuring out how to trust again. But I'm also here. I'm still standing. I'm still moving forward. I'm still believing that better things are possible. I'm still open to love even though love recently broke my heart. I'm still willing to be vulnerable even though vulnerability led to pain. I'm still me, maybe a little bruised and definitely more cautious, but fundamentally intact. And that's something. That's actually everything. Because she didn't break me even though she tried. She just revealed who she was, and now I'm free. If you found this story relatable or moving, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing to my channel. It genuinely means the world to me and helps me continue sharing these real stories from real people navigating the complicated mess of modern relationships. I have so many more trending stories about infidelity, betrayal, and finding yourself after everything falls apart. Check out my other videos. These stories might help you process your own experiences or just remind you that you're not alone in navigating betrayal and heartbreak. Thank you for watching, and remember, you deserve someone who chooses you clearly and consistently. Don't settle for anything less.